Brian Giles with Brian Giles MTG. And this is video number 4 of the Unfinity Mark Rosewater spoilers. Like I said, I've had to break these down because because there's so many and there's so much to talk about. Because it's an unset, there's lots of silly, lots of craziness going on, not only as an unset, but within the theme of this unset. So finally, we're down to creature types in the set. Rat Rogue. Now we've seen that in the Kamigawa set, so that might be something interesting. Something you could slot into your Rat Rogue deck for whatever reason. Next up is Alien Insect. It being a space carnival, you'll see some aliens. Next up is Artifact Creature Clown Robot Mime. That sounds funny. Next up is Dog Employee. Okay, employees matter. Not really. Not at WotC. Next up is Creature Beeble. Beeble, I believe, was a creature that was, a type of creature type that was introduced in a previous unset. It's back for this. Next up is Frog Guest. Guests matter. They're not always right. Next up is Human Artificer Assassin. So a hat maker that's an assassin. And from what I understand, hats do matter in this set. Next up is Alien Squirrel. Squirrel! Alien Squirrel! Might be something you can play in your squirrel deck. Who knows? Hoo-ha! Next up is Minotaur Child Guest. I can see bad things happening there. That could just lead to all sorts of bad things. What's worse than a bull in a china shop? A minotaur child in a carnival. Porcupine Performer. There's bad stuff and more bad stuff. Quills everywhere. Next up is Dinosaur Employee. Oh, oh, there's going to be jokes about big teeth and small arms. Next up is Zombie Coward Guest. Now, in previous sets, we've had some stuff that cowards matter. So this is interesting. Next up is Artifact Creature Plant Mutant Food. Well, this is a crazy space carnival. Be careful of what you order from the vendors. It might not be. It might still be alive. Okay. Next up is Legendary Creature Devil Performer. Well, we've seen kind of like a we've had kind of a devil show before. The Rakdos Carnarium is even a land, and that's been seen before. So that might be a card that you might want to play in a deck like that, in a devil demon deck. So that should be interesting. Next up is Legendary Human Gamer. Now I'm going to go off and say this reminds me of my dearly departed stepfather, Lamont Grodak. In fact, just to frame everything, and my environment matters, you will see him his urn over my shoulder, little flag and stars in the background. I loved my stepdad dearly. He was he was in a carnival for a number of years, and he learned to become a shark at the ring game, which means he is a professional at playing it. And at the Puyallup Fair in Puyallup, Washington, the Washington State Fair, they had to limit him to only 2 prizes per day because he was so good at the game. But they have several ring games within the fair. But that's what makes me think about it. Some sort of shark that's good at carnival games. So next up is Alien Ooze, a legendary creature, Alien Ooze. So another legendary ooze creature. So maybe we can actually have an ooze where oozes matter, and we can actually make an ooze deck. Next up is a legendary creature, human pilot employee. Now, as some of you might know, Unfinity was delayed an entire 6 months. And I'm thinking it's because of why. And I talked about earlier how they might have some Star Trek type of parody tropes. Now, Star Trek in itself created an animated show called Star Trek Lower Decks, which is an animated parody and trope of Star Trek. It's funny. It makes a lot of fun of stuff and stuff. And one of the recent episodes, which was just released, when the new episodes just for this next season, this is now the 3rd season, came out. You had an episode that featured the main cast members going to Bozeman, Montana, which is in Star Trek universe the site where the Phoenix, the first Earth-based warp-capable ship, launched and actually became noticed by a Vulcan ship that initiated first contact with the Vulcans and introduced the people of Earth to alien species and basically started everything that became the Federation. And I'm thinking that they had to hold this back because this might be what might be troping what they troped in their own show. Because when the characters from Lower Decks were in Bozeman, Montana, there was a carnival ride that allowed you to ride a replica of the Phoenix out into space and back. And it had a holographic, and a holographic pilot and whatnot, and that I'm thinking that this is kind of like a trope of that, and this may be why they had to delay it, because this was that, and they didn't want to spoil what was coming out in the Lower Deck seasons, and they had to delay this until afterwards because it would have spoiled it, and spoilers are not allowed for things outside of Magic the Gathering. Some people don't like spoilers, but I'm all about the spoilers, or at least spoilers like this. My TV shows, I don't like them to be spoiled. I like to have genuine reactions to it, and watch people's others' genuine reaction to the show. So next up is a legendary creature, elephant mouse performer. Well, that sounds like something you'd see in a circus or a some sort of crazy space carnival. Next up is legendary creature, human clown artificer. I'm thinking something that makes balloons or makes some sort of crazy, type of things like that. Because, it's a clown thing. Next up is legendary artifact creature robot. Is this an anime trope? Probably. Is this... Definitely. Absolutely. It's an unset. Anything is possible. So that's it for that. We're just about 11 minutes into this, which makes all these things bite-sized and quick to upload. So I'm going to say thank you for staying with me and going through all these unset spoilers. We've got cards coming out tomorrow, so I'm going to be recording like mad. I don't have a full working computer. I'm working off of a Chromebook whose screen doesn't work. I've got it hooked up to my computer monitor, so we're gonna hopefully have more stuff spoiled. We're going to probably link stuff in with these Rosewater spoilers. So we're going to see you then. Here we end the video.